Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today I want to bring you some of the latest Doctor Who news, so sit back, relax and enjoy, and also subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to get to 26,000 and we're almost there, so any support would be greatly appreciated. But with that said, let's get right into it. So first of all, I want to start with this rather bizarre post from Disney Doctor Who, in which they post an image of Sunshine Sally from the Mr. Ringadin cartoon, you know, before Mr. Ringadin goes evil, with the caption, Sunshine Sally plus depth. Now I saw a lot of people, myself included, speculate that Sunshine Sally could represent a character in the show, specifically Mrs. Flood. If you look at them side by side, the costume that Mrs. Flood is wearing in her scene in Lux bears a striking resemblance to the one that Sunshine Sally is wearing, so the implication appears to be that Sunshine Sally is Mrs. Flood in cartoon form, which is very interesting because that makes it even more confusing as to who she could be. Is she perhaps the god of the sun, or is it something less literal than that? A fun little detail about Sunshine Sally is that the episode opens with Lux saying, "Don't give me sunshine," which is a very clever hint towards the way he's defeated in the end. Just a fun little reference that you might catch on another viewing of the episode. We seemingly have casting for Belinda's Dad. This comes from Candy Scott Associates on Instagram, and I'm taking it from Dr. Master over on Twitter. Belinda's Dad's going to be in season 2 then, and it reads, "The new season of Doctor Who premieres this weekend on BBC One and streaming on BBC iPlayer. Archie Lal as Hari Chandra." So there you go, seemingly confirming Belinda Chandra's dad for the series, obviously the same surname. What's interesting though, and I've seen a lot of people suggest this, Hari Chandra, Harbinger, perhaps, Har, as in the dad, Bel, Belinda, J, whoever the wife is, let's say Galinda for the time being, I've got no idea what the mum's name is. Could this potentially be a hint towards Belinda's true identity? I've said in previous videos that there is something off about Belinda. Obviously in Robot Revolution we see that she knows what a TARDIS is before the Doctor introduces it, and she also refers to Gallifrey as home. So there's a couple of interesting little details in there. As well, people have pointed out that Fred was also the nickname of Romana 1 in the classic series, and that's what she is nicknamed by the Doctor in Lux. So could this be indication that she's a Time Lord, maybe specifically Romana, or is she a Harbinger? I don't know who the true identity of Belinda is, or whether she is just a normal person, but there does seem to be some interesting coincidences surrounding her. Nonetheless, though, I am glad that we're seeing her family. I think that's good to see. It does imply that she does eventually get home, which is nice to know. The dad was also the one that she said was terrible at singing, so I'm assuming we might hear him sing at some point. Let's hope it's not another musical, but there we are. We have the preview for episode 4 of season 2, Lucky Day, and this one is interesting for a couple of reasons. It reads, Ruby Sunday faces life back on Earth without the Doctor, but when a dangerous new threat emerges, can Ruby and Unit save her new boyfriend Conrad from the terrifying Shriek? And so this has the following cast: the Doctor and Belinda, Ruby Sunday, Conrad Clark, Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, Shirley Bingham. Obviously you know all these actors by now, but also we've got Carla and Cherry Sunday returning alongside Louise Miller, who was revealed to be Ruby's mum. We've got young Conrad, who we've seen in the trailers, and then a couple of characters who we don't know yet: Moira Clark, Jordan Lang, Elsa, Sparky, Michelle, Alfie, Derek, Colonel Ibrahim. We've also got the Shriek, which I assume is the monster we've seen in the trailers, who is going to be the villain for this episode, one would assume. But here's something interesting. We have a set of celebrity guest stars, much like in Interstellar Song Contest. All of these appear to be TV presenters. For my American audience who don't know, Alex Jones from The One Show, Joel Dermot from The Masked Singer, and leading BBC News presenter Rita Chakrabarti. So this is very interesting because obviously we know it's an Earth story, and Russell does love his news coverage of spatial events, and obviously this is the episode that we presume introduces Conrad, who seems like he's going to be important later on. So I'm wondering if this story is bigger than we perhaps realise, and these guys are going to be reporting on it as it's going on. Sort of similarly to what happened with the Moons in Series 4, and you had the scene of Paul O'Grady being like, there's all these moons and things up in the sky. Maybe it'll be something equivalent to that. I do find it interesting how many cameo appearances we're getting from TV personalities specifically. I don't know whether that's just marketing for the show or whether that does serve a broader purpose. You know, maybe the idea that the Doctor hasn't quite escaped being in a TV show yet, potentially. I do think it's an interesting coincidence nonetheless. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how these guys factor in. But that's not all we've got in terms of the Lucky Day preview. We also have 3 influencers listed here, which is very, very interesting. Maybe there'll be YouTube, TikTok type people who are noticing an alien happening and report it. Or maybe they're against UNIT or something like that, because we saw in filming, you know, protest signs for UNIT. But we also have the return of the Vlinks, and of course, Mrs. Flood, who obviously appears in every episode. Cool to see the Vlinks back. You know, I guess it makes sense, given that this is our UNIT story for the season, that the Vlinks would return. It does feel like ages. It was Empire of Death that we last saw him, wasn't it? Which wasn't that long ago, but it feels like ages ago. But yeah, I'm very interested in this one. I get the feeling that this has more to it than we know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what it hides until next week. Juno Dawson gave us some new teasers for episode 6, the Interstellar Song Contest, via SFX Magazine 391. I'm taking this coverage though from Cultbox. Showrunner and co-writer Russell T Davies was very much, this is your chance to write Doctor Who. You've been waiting for this for your whole life. What do you want in this episode? So we got anti-gravity scenes, with the companion being pinned to the ceiling, floating through space, really ambitious stuff. The episode pitched by Davis as Die Hard meets Eurovision opens with the TARDIS inside a VIP pod at the Harmony Arena, a space station stadium venue, just in time for the live broadcast of the 803rd Interstellar Song Contest. The Doctor and Belinda agree enthusiastically to remain for the spectacle. According to Dawson, just as the first act begins, a dangerous insurgent kid seizes control of Harmony Arena and purges the audience into deadly outer space. Okay, so that explains why the 50th Doctor is floating out a window in that scene. It's up to the massacred survivors to reclaim control of the station. Kid has even larger plan that could lead to the annihilation of the entire galaxy. Charlie Condu and Cardiff Kerwin play a gay couple, Gary and Mike, who attend the contest every year and find themselves thrown into the struggle. Rylan plays himself as a presenter of the contest after spending centuries in suspended animation. So yeah, that was the kind of running theory that I saw, that Rylan would be playing himself, and the way that they would do that would be like he was basically frozen in time, which appears to be the way they're going about it. I personally would have loved it if they'd have made him like Robo Rylan or something like that, but this still works. And of course, Anita Dobson's Mrs. Flood appears as well, and we have no idea what she's up to, although I would assume this is the episode where we start to understand more of what she's actually up to this time. But very, very interesting stuff. I think Russell did say that this goes quite a bit darker than you're expecting, which I'm very intrigued by. It sounds like the first act will be relatively light, but will slowly get darker as it goes along. Finally, we also have a preview from SFX Magazine of the Interstellar Song Contest, and of course I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what I will show is this one screenshot that shows a bunch of new aliens alongside Juno Dawson. 3 new aliens of the same type. They remind me of, is it My Parents Are Aliens or like Danny's House? One of those old CBBC shows, and like they're aliens that just have like big green heads. But what's interesting is the caption that reads, "The greatest song contest in the galaxy." Now if you remember back to my Mrs. Flood theory video, you'll remember that I said that one of the possible options I think Mrs. Flood could be is a harbinger for the gods of Ragnarok. And of course, the gods of Ragnarok first appeared, and have only appeared up to this point, in the greatest show in the galaxy. Now, this could just be a play on words from SFX Magazine, or it could be a subtle hint towards who's really behind the Interstellar Song Contest. In either case, I'm very intrigued to see whether my theory is correct, that the gods of Ragnarok do in fact factor into this. But that's about everything I have time for today. Tomorrow we're going to be going over the latest Doctor Who magazine, as well as giving you a final preview for The Whale before the episode broadcasts. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.